Strange and the spooky, adventurous and loony, they're all together ooky, the Bud family. Their trips are amazing when people come to see 'em. They really are amazing, the Bud family. History, ghost, art. So put on a witch's shawl on, a seat so you can relax on. We're gonna play a call on the Bud family. Good morning. It is Monday once again. Yay. Week 2 of October. Tomorrow we will have some sort of live. We're thinking currently pumpkin bowling, but that might change. So you'll have to pop in to see what we're doing, because it will be something. Mostly depends on what Miss Angel's feeling up to. Before all that, we have one more video from our trip to Fort Laramie for their anniversary of changing hands, of becoming Fort Laramie. So that should be exciting. Hopefully you guys will like that. I had another thought, now it's gone. In the meantime, we have a race. I have chosen Zumba for our race today. Are you ready? Here we go. Shout out time. Here's a shout out just for you. You support me, I support you. This shout out is for our friends. Let's see who it is today. Are we ready? Okay. Hang on. Okay, here we go. Open me. There we go. Alright, our race is on. We've got She Stole, we've got Mark, we've got Teza, we got Northern, we got Supered, there's Reef, there's Lainey, there's Tay Eats, there's Jacob, there's Pete, there's Kifla, there's Kaz, there's Richard, there's Swish, there's Cable, there's Fox Clan, there's Crystal, there's Debbie, there's Bubba, there's Ohio, there's Frugal, let's see, who else? We need new people. I still see Mark, I still see Frugal, I see Kaz and Debbie. Oh, Tessa's falling back, and we've got Jamaica coming from the front. There's Traveling Van, there's Anetta, there's Nat, there's Jericho, and Sophia, and Ian, and Griselda. There's Bluegrass. Oh, I think it's going to be Supered. It is Supered. Hang on a minute. Alright, so Supered has changed her name yet again to Supernatural. Here on Earth to share lost traditions held by our ancestors, lovingly given to us by our Creator. Of herbal uses, wild edibles. I'm also here to entertain, as well as entertain, or to be entertained, as well as entertaining. So homesteading, processing, a lot of home do-it-yourself kind of things. So kind of a fun, interesting, very educational channel. So check her out. Like, share, comment, and enjoy the last part of Fort Laramie for this time. We do have a couple more coming up.
Do you think that they just anticipated this area right here, which I think they did? Now, was there a wall around Fort Laramie? The wall that never was. Daniel Woodbury, right off on June 26, 1849, submitted paperwork for fiscal funding to construct a huge wall, huge stockade. So Jesse and I were talking about that the other day. So just imagine, initially when he put that in place, I think it was like 650 square feet or something. It was some huge mammoth stockade. So you're talking Fort John down at the south side of the parade field. He wanted to build this mammoth stockade that end of June 1849 that would encapsulate out here on the river. And then the stockade would go over here to the north, probably where that fella's walking down, maybe toward the visitor center, go around up where the barracks is at, go around the Sutler store on the parking lot side of Bedlam, and then end back at the river. So this is a huge stockade. But of course there was no facilities or resources for it. Now, Henry knows this. Was the fort ever attacked?
Yeah.
Well, could have been close, right? Close, but never flying arrows, right? So a lot of people think, hey, this is just, flying arrows all over the place and attack. So through all those years, never attacked. But close, as Henry is, close. They were definitely biting fingernails over time, but never the resources to build that huge stockade that they had planned in June of 1849. And the fiscal checkbook, the congressional checkbook back on the banks of the Potomac River, never allocated those funds. It just never happened. So through 41 years, you would never have the wall that never was. And those original plans from Daniel Woodbury of the Post, we have those diagrams down in the Visitor Center, copies of it. They did magnificent work. When you look at it, and when you think of Fort John being at the south side of the parade field, think of all of that global economic interaction, the cultural crossroads that evolved here. You have this beautiful parade field that was a dirt field for many of its years. No trees out here until the 1880s. But this plateau was probably the best you could find anywhere around, as well as just a natural break of those buttes off to the northwest, natural break as far as wind and so forth. This was the perfect place that the American Fur Company had established. So I think the legacies of June 26th today, 175 years later, this place has withstood the test of time. Now, we've obviously assisted that. The mission of the National Park Service that Jesse and I wear, this arrowhead, the cultural and natural resource protection, we've assisted it. However, when you look at the landscape and you look at what the American Fur Company put in place here, is it perfect? No, it's imperfect. All the different controversies with trade, sugar being introduced here, which has made a huge impact on indigenous folks up in Rapid City, Pine Ridge, and so forth. The legacies of that transaction, I think, are still so prominent today. Just imagine if the American Fur Company would not have come in here and built Fort John 175 or back in 1841. Just imagine if we didn't have the North Platte and the Laramie Rivers. None of this would be here. So thank heavens Fort John in many ways was here because it did provide that early base of which the military would take. So looking back on it with excavation wise, will we ever do any additional archaeology? More than likely not, just based on storage and so forth. There's been a lot of work done on Fort John. Unfortunately, like I say, there's never been any huge material items that have been found. I don't foresee us ever doing anything with that fur trade cemetery. We know for the most part where Milton Sublette is buried. So I don't think we'll do any follow-up up there either. So I think the legacies will be more intangibles that we'll see into the future. But it is an amazing, it's an amazing story. And I think that Fort William, Fort John, Fort Laramie, Fort Platte, Bernard Pratt would have built Fort Platte down by the Iron Bridge. That's another fort that we often sort of, not neglect, but we don't talk about it on an extreme level. All reflect the cultural crossroads of this area that lives on. So very, very cool. Cindy studied this over the years a lot. I don't know, what do you think, Cindy, over your time here with those legacies of Fort John and Fort William, and any thoughts today sort of on this, commemoration of 175 years? It's pretty cool.
It is. I think there's enough people really passionate about.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, it's super cool. And folks have asked us in the past, Casey, do you wish that Fort John was still visibly standing? And I'm like, it would be cool, if it was still down there. It would have sort of a Bent's Old Fort look to it. If you've been down to La Junta, to Bent's Old Fort, a little bit different look, but that would be essentially what you would see at the south side of the parade field there. But it would be super tricky for us to maintain it, if we still did have it. But again, thank heavens, that they had built it. Now, one of the other just last minute items too, John Tutt, when he built the trader store, the settler store of adobe, he would essentially mirror that adobe construction of what Fort John had been built of. So you could still see that, of course, in the windows over with the two doors. That portion of the Sutler store, that would have been that mud adobe that essentially Fort John would have been constructed on as well. So again, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for being here on this day. You know, June 25th, June 26th. Yesterday, of course, was the anniversary of the Battle of Little Bighorn. I trailed that yesterday. By 3 p.m., of course, George Custer had engaged a village that was, of course, way more than what he'd ever anticipated. And by 4 o'clock, of course, the 7th Regiment of Horse Company CEFINL, 225 soldiers would have been killed by that point. So yeah, so it's sort of an interesting sort of linkage of history to where June 25th, 26th for us is an anniversary of the U.S. government purchasing Fort John. And then also you have George Custer up there engaging in perhaps one of the most famous battles on the Northern Great Plains up there at Little Bighorn, which last year I was able to go up there. This year we weren't able to go on an assignment up there to Little Bighorn Battlefield. So anyway, thank you for joining us. Yeah, you'll have to stop by again down the road, especially if you're up in Rapid City. You're not too.
Oh, we'll be back.
Yeah, you're not too far away as well. So
One other question though about this Fort John. Now, I remember reading about when they talked about traders would do the rendezvous operations, and
Right.
they'd all come together. Was the rendezvous over by the time Fort
Yeah.
John pretty much get?
So
That's what I thought.
yeah, so the last rendezvous would have been by the latter 1830s in Green River, you know, down towards southwest Wyoming. Once those beaver, you know, once the beaver population was exhausted, you went to more of a fixed trading post type concept, and that's where Fort William and Fort John really come into play here, because you start to have, you know, the buffalo hides and so forth. You can't transport those by boat like you could the beaver pelts.
Yeah.
And so you have to have fixed trading posts, and that's where Fort William and Fort John really come into play there.
Okay.
So yeah, those famous rendezvous, you know, were short-lived, even though, you know, the craziness and the wildness of them, of course, outlived that myth and that misconception there. Fort John. What's fascinating with Fort Bernard Pratt would get tired of Fort John very quickly because of the competition. So you've got all these early westbound immigrant trains coming through here, like Marcus Whitman and these early missionaries. So what Bernard Pratt does is he abandons Fort Pratt and he builds a post 5 miles east. So it's going to be just south. It'd be southeast of the town of Fort Laramie, right on the overland, California Overland Road, and it burns down twice.
Oh dear.
So by 1846, it's completely burned down.
Oh wow.
Now, it's fascinating though that essentially was the location of what we call the gradient warehouses. So those were also warehouses for buffalo hides. And that location becomes very prominent in the story of our first battle skirmish in August of 1854 called the Grattan Incident. So you have this young brevet Second Lieutenant John Lawrence Grattan, a drunk interpreter by the name of Gus Lucian, and then 29 soldiers that go east to apprehend an individual by the name of High Forehead, who had been accused of stealing, you know, a worn-out ox, lame ox. Long story short, you know, all the soldiers are killed, including the interpreter. There's one soldier named John Cuddy who survives and is brought back to the fort, and then he passes on early on the morning of August 20th of 1854. But anyway, they stopped at the Gradient warehouses to drink whiskey. So a lot of the soldiers were consuming whiskey, which by that point they had seen a village that was, you know, thousands upon thousands. I think that's what's so tricky for us to imagine. I can't imagine, you know, thousands of TVs through there, all the way to Torrington, present-day Torrington, and beyond. You know, so by July and August, all of these folks are waiting for their annuity goods that are guaranteed to them by the Treaty of 1851. So they're showing up here in thousands upon thousands of TVs. And of course, as John Grattan goes east with these 29 soldiers, They have all of their massive horse herds on the north side of the North Platte River, and they're winding their horses. You know, the younger kids are bringing horses in on basically where Highway 26 is at. They're bringing their horses in, and then they're winding those horses for battle. So I'm sure that there were quite a few soldiers that were like, "Man, I'm going to be drinking that whiskey because this is not good. You know, we're not coming out of this. You know, we're not coming out of this alive." And that's essentially what was going down. But the Grady Ed houses would have been the original location of Fort Menard.
Wow.
Which George Siemens, did a lot of that archaeology down there. It's very fascinating. One of our long time resident archaeologists have done a lot of work down there too. So anyway, fascinating history. It's all of that collage of history hooked into Fort John is super cool. As Jesse's finding out, as she's starting to research all of the parks ins and outs and such too. I think one of the toughest factors for us is, you've got 56 years of just all of this history, especially buildings. Like this structure here was built in 1876 right on top of the 1850 guardhouse. So that's what you see over here with these cells. And then as you go inside, there's cells. So the Army just tore down that 1850 guardhouse, built this one up here in 1876 right on top. So it's very difficult. Like you've got, 60, 70, under 100 structures that's being built within 41-year history. All through here. Absolutely crazy. So just to visualize is so difficult. Did I tell you about augmented reality? Cindy's like, I can't remember. So one of the real challenges that we face is making the connection, especially to younger folks, of just the history. So my dream here soon, and Jesse will be working on this, is to be able to have an iPhone, to where you could just, hey, I've got my iPhone right here, and I bring my iPhone out, and with augmented reality, I'll see this barracks right here.
Or you can see the latrine being used behind the
Yeah,
building.
right. The latrine over there that was built
That
in
would be
1886.
cool.
So you've got this augmented reality, and then you're maybe you could go into this and have like a hologram and so forth.
Yeah, that would be very
it's not
cool.
going to be like a hologram like the.
But that would be really cool. Where you
Oh, yeah.
you can't. Well, you can look at the pictures and you can picture the buildings
Yeah.
there. But to be able to look and see how it all
Yeah.
came together.
Yeah, that would be
And that's
very
In real
cool.
time, like that would be really cool.
I
threw it.
That would be very cool.
We had three groups of 8th graders this year. That was fascinating. 3 different groups of 8th graders, and these were 8th grade kids
You guys can go inside. It was
that missed their trip.
Yeah, we'll hit these as they go to the car. Get some coverage in front. Getting parts.
Yeah, the water helped, but I definitely need a drink.
I like how the wall filled in the door.
Yeah, he was talking about that. How there used to be a door there.
Post office. I need a 2-cent stamp, please. Anybody? Yo.
This is another one of those highs of activity.
Yeah.
Can't really see on this side because of the glare. And there's the store.
Yeah. Your version of Walmart.
Whoa. There was a mini there that step I didn't see. Are the doors locked in? Probably. But there's stairs there, so. Seems silly to put stairs there.
Yeah, maybe at one time it was open, but
See if you guys can see anything in here. Looks like mostly storage. Oh, I go to the next place. Ooh,
noises.
that's not good.
No. Bricked up.
Oh, we can go in this way. Kind of. Oh, it's the tavern. Oh, this is another place. Oh, wow. Sometimes when it's not so hot and muggy,
Yeah.
that'd be a good place to sit.
Yeah. Back over the root there.
I told you I felt sprinkles.
Yeah, I'm feeling more of them.
Ooh. I will come back and do the stairs. I'm not doing them right now. My legs are so tired. Don't worry, kids. I'll come visit. I promise. Ooh, closet. Nope, didn't think so. I want to go to the car from here.
Sure.
No, oh, I guess
Yeah.
we kind of can.
Yeah. People.
Oh, look, there's a gnome door.
Oh, I see that. Huh. I think this is the servants' quarters area.
Probably.
Yeah, kind of like Fort Robinson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hair.
Ready?
I'm coming. Okay. I shall do my best. I see them. At least they're the nice big ones. It doesn't help that I have hair in my face. Pause, you guys. Why? Because I can, and the other device decided it didn't want to work today. So we're gonna go home and charge our thermal camera because it's being a dipshit. And we weren't able to use the new EMF detector, but it is on our list, and we will be doing that in the future when we come back, because we are going to come back and we're going to see all these buildings. You will probably, I don't know even where I'm going to put this part. Part 3, the beginning of the paranormal. Then I'm driving around and looking at the lights as they flash around.
Weird roofing area of that one. It's almost like,
I wonder if they have like awnings or something.
that's what I'm wondering.
Let's see.
Unique little last one there.
See if I can do my spirit box. There's this one that's to be too hot to pull up anything. It might want to be too hot to pull up anything. Because, you know, I wouldn't want to do that. Alright, come on. I'm mostly just turning around and heading out, and I'm adding to the video because I can, and because the other one made me sad. I have a 5-minute parter, but this might be an intro. I don't know. We'll see. Our ghost tube. I want no, not TikTok. That's not what I wanted. I'm a genius. I know what I want. No, I don't. I don't know what I want. Oh, you like that, do you? What?
That's a snake.
Oh, hello, snake.
Well, I think he got ran over by somebody already.
I can't tell. He's kind of in the middle, so he might not be. But, yeah. That is definitely a snake. It doesn't look like he's moving, so maybe you're right. That's a big one, too.
Yes. He can stay there.
Yes. What's that? That was a snake. Dead? Yes, we know. You always tell us that every time.
Every time.
Yes, bud. I have no idea what you just said. Help? What do you need help with? The dark? Can't help you with the dark, sweetheart. It looked? Who looked? I don't know what that was.
Me either.
What happened? Lots of things, sweetheart.
They got scaffolding up there.
I see that. We're gonna do that one. That's the sawmill, and that one is apparently a hospital hotel thingy.
Yeah, that was the hotel, the other one.
That's what I thought. Could have done this earlier. We didn't really think about it, but we should have done this earlier.
Donations welcome.
Did you say lake? I don't think there's any lakes in this area. Stop? Yeah. Our car's beeping because I don't have my seatbelt on. I'll put it on here in a minute. We're almost to the entrance. Then I'll put away the toys because I don't want to record outside of the area. Do I?
Yeah.
Yes. He says yes. Say goodbye, people. I'll just add that, or I'll put this separate. We'll see. Oops, that's not